Yesterday, I told you I was looking at, you took over the junk band's Instagram page, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I was looking through that, and there were so many things that came up because I was like, okay, she's really into these. I've obviously heard of the Enneagram, but then I didn't realize like you had a whole line of Enneagram headbands.
Yeah. Yes. Working on them.
Super
They're not
dope.
quite. Yeah, they're not quite out yet, but hopefully before Christmas.
Okay, so here's where I want to start our conversation. So I noticed that in your Instagram bio you have Enneagram 3W4.
Yeah, wing 4.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you explain what that means because I took the test this morning, and I'm excited to tell you what I got, so we can kind of.
Yes.
Anyways, you can educate me. Really, is what I'm asking.
Okay. Yeah, this is exciting. Okay, so I'm a 3 wing 4. So the 3 stands for the achiever, and then the wing aspect of it is every person has a core number, but then whatever your core number is, you're going to display attributes of either one of the numbers that are touching your number. So like if I'm a 3, I'm either going to display attributes of the 4 or the 2. Mm-hmm. And sometimes like during different periods of your life or even just different situations that you're in, you might lean on one of your wings a little bit more. So I'm a 3 wing 4. The 4 is the individualist. 4s are, I guess I should tell you 3 is. There's 3, the achiever, so wants to succeed, wants to be the best version of themselves, wants to be the person they were created to be. But then the 4 is the individualist, or sometimes they're called the romantic. They want to be unique and be very authentic and very genuine and are typically more of like a dreamer, artist, sometimes musical type of person. So I'm a 3 at my core, but I lean a lot on that 4 wing as well, which is that artistic side of me that comes out.
All I heard was romantic, and then I immediately went to like hopeless romantic. I don't know why my brain went there.
So sometimes they can be like the people that you meet that are just like very emotional and very, they meet someone, maybe you had a friend like this. They meet someone and immediately they're like, that's the person I'm going to marry. Like they build up these stories in their head, and they can be really fun. One of my best friends was before, and I love her so much. And I have some of that in me, not quite extreme as like full on 4, but 4s are fun for sure.
Okay. So, and as every good podcast host, I think everybody, just stalks the Instagram page, because I noticed that you the other day, or maybe last week, you said something like, I'm looking for like you were looking. Yeah, you were exactly. You were looking for someone. I was like, I have never seen this before, and maybe that's just me. But
I know.
It was crazy. I was like, what is a 5?
Yeah, sometimes I feel like things that I put on my Instagram, and like people are probably like, "You're a CrossFit athlete. What are you?" I was thinking about this more, but I'm interested in all these things. But the other day, so for my headband collection, I'm just brainstorming ways to kind of get the word out about the collection that's coming out, and just like information and education about the Enneagram, because a lot of people don't know about it and a lot of people know a lot about it. So I'm going to be sending out each of the numbers to some of my friends that are those numbers, just like as a pre-launch type of thing. And I didn't have any 5s. So I was like, this is kind of weird. So I was just kind of putting it out there, but I found one.
Just so I know, what is the 5?
The 5 is the investigator. So somebody that's very analytical, loves to read, loves podcasts. These are kind of stereotypes. So if you're a 5 and you don't fit all of these, don't get mad at me. But
okay.
Typically a little bit more reserved, likes their personal space, likes their quiet time, but is thinking a lot in their head and always kind of like doesn't say as much as they know kind of person.
So I'm assuming just like any, I don't know, personality test that there are numbers that go better together, and then there are numbers that go not so well together. I mean, is that fair?
Like romantically, like as partners?
Sure. Yeah, we can go romantically. We can go business partners. It doesn't matter. Yeah, sure, friends.
Yeah. So I follow so many accounts that talk about this, and I've only came across, like, I think it was one book that I read that was kind of like demonizing certain pairs. But I think the overall consensus is like, if you are like a healthy version of your number and your partner, whether that's romantic or business or friend or whatever, is a healthy version of their number as well, then any pairing can work. Where you get into trouble is if somebody is, you know, maybe one of the partners is healthy and aware, and then the other one is super unhealthy and super, like, not aware of themselves at all, and that's where you can get into trouble.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So the quiz that I took, full transparency, it just says that these are, what's the right word? These are, you know, this is not like the full test or anything. This is just like a sampling or something like that. They said that you would have to do another test. Yeah. These are just like themes that maybe I would be. So I'll tell you what I am. So the first one that they say that I am is a type 8, a challenger.
Okay, that's what Jared is.
The second, okay, I'm excited to get into this. This is going to be exciting. Yeah. So I read the challenger, and it says, how to get along with me, stand up for yourself. Okay, and I found this was so interesting. Here's why. Because I'm one of these people, and you tell me if Jared's like this, and obviously I've never met Jared, so I don't know. I just know kind of from what I see from Instagram and what you post.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in order to get along with me, like when I started to introspectively think, I was like, okay, I respect people that really stand up for what they believe in, like strongly, like really say, this is what I believe in, even if it doesn't align with what I believe in. I don't actually care about that. I just care that they stand for something and that they're going to be passionate and be able to bring it to the table with, I think, such a, like, I don't know, just like a oomph and a heart that I feel like there's something in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like an 8 thing for sure.
And
I think, like,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that that's like a maturity thing, that it doesn't necessarily have to align with your belief. Like, if you were not aware or like not healthy, you might be like, okay, well, I want you to stand for something, but I want you to stand for what I stand for. You know?
Now I see how this could be. I understand being like the healthiest version of your number. Okay, this makes sense now.
Right.
Let's see. Be confident, strong, and direct. I'm big on that. I'm like, get to the point quickly, which is the opposite of my podcast abilities, because I need to like stretch these things out and be conversational with people and not be an a-hole.
Right.
So people will come back. This was the one that was interesting. Give me space to be alone. So I got married a year ago, January 2nd. Okay. And I'm excited to get into a little bit of marriage later, because I think it's interesting to talk marriage with someone that's like newly married versus someone that has 20 years experience. I'm like, I cannot relate to that yet.
Right.
Anyways, this was an interesting like thing. And I know like early on in marriage was like when I wanted to think, I wanted to be alone. And it wasn't because I didn't care about my spouse. It's just that I wanted to be alone and think and have space so that I could understand what I was feeling and understand. And it was very interesting than someone who just wants to like talk about it right away. And I'm curious because with you, you know, obviously you mentioned you have it, and I'm learning on the fly, so correct me. You know, you're a wing 4, so you talk about being kind of a little bit more of a romantic. How does that work with you and Jared? Because is Jared that way, where he's like, hey, I'm going to kind of draw back, get my thoughts together, and an individualist seems like you'd be like wanting to talk about it right away. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. So I I go through phases. It's interesting with the 3 and the 4, they're very, very opposite. So there's kind of like this internal struggle inside of me all the time. Like the 3 is very similar to the 8, and I get along with 8s really well because 3s and 8s typically kind of like are more reserved with their feelings and keep everything inside. And like you mentioned with the, like, you don't know what you're thinking or feeling until you have time by yourself. I am exactly the same way. And Jared is that way too. So unless I'm like really winging into that 4, which does happen every once in a while, and it always kind of throws Jared for a loop. Like he'll be like, where is all of this emotion coming from? Because I'm not normally that way. And he's just like, wow, like you are like overreacting to everything. Like what is going on? But I think that maybe it's just like the emotion is all coming out that I've been like, you know, keeping inside. But I would say that our main, I don't know if I would call it trouble point or sticking point or what, but because both of us kind of do what you just described, like we can go for a long time without being like emotionally vulnerable with each other. And like, if we don't check ourselves. So like, I feel like left to our own. And that's why I think the Enneagram is so great, because it like brings these things to the forefront so that you're aware of it, because both of us are kind of just like charge ahead people and like, hey, let's just like do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And like, we're happy and we're doing good, but sometimes we don't realize that there's things going on beneath the surface that we do need to talk about and bring up, you know?
So the other 2 that they said I could be like, and one I agree with, one I don't agree with, based off reading them, but type 7, the enthusiast. I think there's some of that for sure. And then type 1, the reformer, which that was the one I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. But anyways,
okay,
the
so
challenger, definitely agree with.
If you feel like the 8 is what you felt like, this is me, and then if you felt like you had some of the 7, it's probably because you wing towards that 7.
Okay.
So
that
the
makes
7,
sense.
the 7, the enthusiast likes to have new adventures lined up and like just doesn't like to miss out on things and likes to have a good time.
I don't know if I have FOMO, but I do like to have a good time. So there we go. I think that's a good.
Jared's an 8 wing 9. So
what is
9
the 9?
The peacemaker. So, and there's kind of conflict, like internal conflict with that one too, because it's like the 8 is very like they confront people and, you know, aren't afraid of confrontation and want things to be right. And like, doesn't matter if, you know, if you hurt her feelings or whatever. But then the 9 is like avoids confrontation at all costs because they just want everyone to get along. And so he has this like push pull inside of him. And especially as like a gym owner too, like he'll see things that need to, you know, be addressed or get done. And he's like, his first reaction is like, man, I want to go take care of this. And then he like sees what it could cause. And it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say anything because I just want everyone to get along and maybe it'll just go away, you know, like that kind of thing. So it's like an internal conflict, you know?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. This is exciting. I want my wife to, I'm going to send her this and get her to take this too, because I think this is interesting. And as I was looking through it, I was wondering what, I started thinking, I was like, man, I wonder what she is. So, okay. Anywho, I didn't mean to get off on this highly tangent of Enneagram, but I think it's interesting. I was just like, because the only thing I have really done is the, what is it called? The Myers-Briggs. Is that the, is that where they give you the letters, I think?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So.
Yeah. And I think this one is a little bit different than other personality tests because it's based on your internal motivation. So like most personality types are kind of based on your behavioral patterns, which can kind of change as you go on in life, right? But your internal motivation, or whatever you want to call it, your ego, or like who you go to when you're stressed, or like whatever, like kind of that personality you develop as a child, like no matter how healthy and self-aware you get, there's still going to be things in your life that kind of revert you back to that core self that you have.
Do you, I mean, like, when you look back at your, like, speaking of childhood, like when you look back at your childhood, do you think, oh man, like I can see how I was an achiever?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like had to have the A honor roll, like all the things. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's been really cool, like growing and learning that like my worth doesn't come from succeeding. Like as a kid, I feel like I inherently believed that. And as I've grown and learned, it's like, oh no, my worth is much more than that.
When do you feel like that shift like happened for you?
Like I think I was like 20-ish. I had this like list of all these things that I wanted to achieve, and thought that like if I do all these things on this list, then I'll be happy, then I'll feel loved, then I'll feel good. And I really just kind of had like a coming to Jesus moment, and like literally dedicated my life to Jesus. And the first thing that I felt after that moment was, go rip up that list. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you are loved for who you are, not for what you do. And so I did, and it was like the most freeing feeling ever. And for a little period of my life, like, even though I was a very competitive person and liked to strive and achieve, I felt like God was telling me to kind of back off those things and like just be myself, like be a human being, not a human doing, you know, like stop trying to do all these things. And eventually I felt like I kind of got that, like, okay, it's time again, like you're in a healthy enough place to be able to handle this, but I wasn't for a long time.
That's interesting. That I mean, that I think moments of like awakening maybe is a good word.
Yeah.
Like in a way, are very interesting. And I think everyone has them at different points, and I think different things bring them on. I think different situations and different people's lives can be used in a lot of different ways. And you know, I'm not one of these people that say, everything is a good situation. It's like, no, some situations are bad.
Right.
Like objectively, just like they're really trashy situations. But I am one of these people that do believe that there can be good found
Right.
in a situation, or even in spite of a situation, because look, a lot of people believe it, a lot of different things, but I think you and I are probably on the same page with, I think God can really use those situations in your life to show you something about yourself. Some people maybe believe the universe, some people whatever the case is. And I find it to be interesting to whatever someone believes, and just being respectful of that. I do find it interesting to think, man, like when you look back at your life and you go, gosh, this really horrible thing happened, this really tough thing happened in my life. I find the people that have grown through it and been able to have great perspective and have this awakening often say things like, I don't love what happened, I don't like what happened, but I don't know if I would have changed what happened, because they truly see it as something that propelled and even sometimes catapulted them to this new level of awakening or perspective in their life. And it sounds like that's a lot of what maybe you described or you experienced. And I don't know, I think that's like a really, you talked about maturity earlier. I think that is a sign of maturity when people can look back on something and go, you know what, this was a tough time, but fill in the blank.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think like the more that you go through experiences like that, it's like, then you start looking for them. Like when you start, I mean, it still sucks when you're going through an experience that is painful or hard, but you start looking for, you know, what is the silver lining in this? Because I know there is something, and that's just a totally different perspective change.
I think it's tough. I think it's tough to get to that point though, right? To see things like that, because, you know, look, I firmly believe that like what you look for is what you find in life. You know, like if you look for, and I truly believe this in the bottom of my heart, like if you look for the negative crap, like it's easy to find. It really is. It's so easy to find. It's, right. But I think the opposite is true, is, you know, as well. So anyways, I think it's cool for someone to be able to talk about that in such a way that, I don't know, is uplifting and motivating. Cause I think it's hope. I do. I think it's hope for people that, like, you know, hey, you can do it.
Yeah. There's this verse in the Bible that says, I don't know the exact, this is like paraphrasing, but I like always come back to it and write it down. It says, hardship produce perseverance, perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. And it's like, I just think that is so true, because it's like, when you look back, you can see like almost like the linear progression of that. If you have a hardship and you decide like, I'm not going to give up, I'm not going to be a victim to this, I'm going to keep trudging forward. It's like that leads to developing your character, and that character development always leads to hope. And then you can share that story with other people. And it's like, I just think that is so beautiful and just like so true.
There's this quote. Let me see. I think I have it here. It says, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times.
I heard Joe Rogan say that. Is it from Joe Rogan, or did he just say it? Like, repeat it?
I believe he repeated it. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe.
I like that though.
And I like, you know, I look at a lot of, you know, what's happening in the world today, and look, you know, I don't really, you know, I don't care to get into all of it, but, you know, it just from a 10,000 foot overview, it's like, look, you know, like when you look at success stories in life and people that are having success, you know, they often tell the story of walking to school uphill both ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
And I don't know, like if you had parents like that, or maybe if you've heard that type of deal before, but like it always seems to fit that narrative of like, hey, like, you know, I look at, you know, like the people I look up to in my life, like, you know, like my parents, right? It's like seeing, you know, my dad start a business, and then, you know, talking about how he was on food stamps as a kid, and like, it was just like, it was tough sledding. And then to be able to see where they are now, it's like, man, like that's really cool. But from the outside looking in, you just see and you go, oh, that person has success. And you go, right. Oh, well, it was just handed to them. It's like, no, hard times made, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I found that to be really true, what you said about, you know, hard times really create that perseverance.
Yeah, for sure. I like that.
So, anyways, okay. So one of the things that I had written down that I was very interested in was, you obviously recently got married, which congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you.
How did you get married? I mean, obviously I know how you got married, but like, you know, like the whole story.
Yeah. So Jared and I think a little bit differently than a lot of people. We actually verbally got married to each other almost 3 years ago. So in our hearts, we were married to each other, but that's not the way that the world views marriage. So
we get along so well. Like, I love this. Like, man,
and it was like
really
a very ongoing, like, I was like, I don't know. Jared has that personality, the challenger, where he's like, he challenges everything. And it's like, if something doesn't make sense, he's like, well, I don't care what other people think. We're just going to do it our way, you know? But I care a little bit more. And especially like with family, right? Like, I understand that there's like, you know, saying to your parents and your parents telling their friends, oh, our daughter just got verbally married. Like, that doesn't make sense to them. So Jared would have forever been my boyfriend in their minds. And like, that just didn't sit right with me either. So it was like, we need to have a wedding. Just like, I don't know, totally officiate all of this. So it happened really quick, honestly. We decided we just wanted to do something really small. And this year in Springfield, Missouri, we had a few friends there, just people that have kind of became friends that have become family here in Springfield. And then my parents wound up coming down, and we just found a field outside and put up some decorations, and Sam Dancer officiated it for us, and it was really, really special. So, and then we got these tattoo rings on our fingers, which is
I love it.
Cool. So not traditional at all, but we are now married in the eyes of everyone else, which is awesome.
Because that's what really matters in life.
Yeah. And I'm really happy to have pictures. Like, that was something that, like, I just wanted. I know it sounds maybe corny, but it's like I wanted those pictures.
I get it. My wife's always trying to convince me we should do another photo shoot. I'm like, no, I've done more photos than anyways.
Yeah.
That's a different story. Why do you think that is, though? Because I'm one of those people that probably like Jared. Like, I like to ask why.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's not that I'm bucking the system or being disrespectful. I just like I really want to know. And I asked my wife this when we were talking about getting married and all this. I was like, why do we have to have this event? Like, what does it really mean? And obviously that can be dangerous because you can go all the way down to like, what is the meaning of like blank? And then, it's like, all right, I'm not interested in that, but I'm just curious what you think.
So I think like we were asking that question a lot too, and like really doing our research and just like, you know, what does the Bible actually say about this? And what has our culture said about this? And what did the marriage license used to be? And what is it now? And just like all of these different questions. But what we kind of came to was like, it is important because it is a public declaration of your love. And I think that a marriage should be a public thing in some sort of way. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, if you go elope with just you and your husband, that's wrong. But maybe like, I think it sounds silly again, but like those pictures just showing like, hey, we're together for life, you know, like just making that commitment, almost like a baptism, right? Like, it's like you can have your own personal relationship with God, but if you don't kind of like declare that, nobody's going to know. I feel like it's almost the same thing with a wedding or a marriage. That's
fair enough. I look, I'll be honest. I looked at getting our marriage. No, they don't. So I live in Alabama, so they don't call it a marriage license. It's like a certificate. Anyways, they like changed it. They changed the law. The point is, it's for just being honest. Like, this is going to be crude, but like the advantage of being married in the eyes of the government is taxes.
Yeah, and
it's super crude. I understand that. I get it's crude, but it's the honest to God's truth. The government rewards you financially for getting married. I hate to say that, but that's the honest to God's truth.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but not saying it's right or wrong, just saying it is what it is.
There's a lot of opinions about it too, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm going to get some hate mail for saying that. But I just try to keep it real with people. I'm not trying to sugarcoat. Like, my goal is to come on here and be 100% authentic and real. And anyways, so it is what it is. So you guys get married. It sounds awesome. It really does. A field, Missouri. Like, I have this like thought in my head of what it looks like. Like, there's some like antelopes in the back. I know antelopes aren't in Missouri, but there's some antelopes in the back. Anyways,
not quite.
Nature. And then when I originally reached out to you, like, hey, I'm like in a van. That sounded super awesome. Can't wait to get into that. So how look, I am not a camper. Okay, I self-admittedly say I will do glamping only, glamorous camping. So tell me how that came to be.
So we decided to have our ceremony, and then it was a matter of like, okay, so my family lives in Michigan, and then which is close to 10 hours from Springfield. And then Jared's dad and sister live in Maine, and his mom lives in Oregon, and then some other family in Idaho as well. So it's literally like all the way across the map. So we were like, we don't really want or like feel comfortable like making everyone come here, you know, or like picking a place, like picking my family or picking his family. Like it just didn't feel right. Yeah. So we decided to do the small ceremony and then borrow the van from the dancers and travel to our family and just kind of spend time with them and kind of make a road trip out of it. So that was the idea behind it.
So where, so obviously you want to see your family. I mean, but it looked like you stopped in some interesting places along the way though, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we tried to. It was definitely like we'd get to our family and like spend a lot of time with them and then be like, oh no, like we need to go explore too, but we're with our family. So it was a little bit of like push and pull with that. But when we were in Michigan, we went up north to like Traverse City and just kind of, I don't know, the colors of the trees and the leaves were super pretty. So that was fun and went to the beach. And then we got out to Idaho really quickly because his mom was throwing a party for us on a certain day. So we had to like quickly get out there. But on our way back was so cool. We, the thing that sticks out to me the most was Wyoming. It was just so beautiful. Like we were driving in, we took a certain route that led us through the mountains. And like before we went through the mountains, it was like 50, 60 degrees. And then we went up this mountain and it was snowing and just like there was snow on the ground, snow in the trees, like the most beautiful white, like it just felt so pure and there was like no people around. And it was just like, where did this magical place just come from? So we actually like stopped the van and like there was this peak that you could look out and like see everything. And we just like grabbed blankets because we didn't have like warm clothes on. So we just like grabbed blankets and just wrapped up and just like ran to the top. And like it was like the elevation was like making you breathe really hard. So it was like you couldn't get your breath out. You were so happy and like, I don't know, it just felt so pure. Like, I don't know what it was, but it was really cool. And then we drove down the mountain and went through, I think it was near like Devil's Tower. I don't know if you've heard of that, but like that kind of landscape. We didn't actually see Devil's Tower, but there were these rocks that were like, I don't know, like this coppery color, just giant rocks. And they were just like stacked on top of each other. And it looked like they were just like on one side of the road, there were all these rocks, and on the other side, there was nothing. So it looked like almost they were just placed there. Like, how did these rocks get here? I don't know. But same thing, we got out of the van and just like ran to the rocks, and we just like climbed up them. Like they were so tall, and we were just, I don't know if you would call that bouldering, but it was so fun. Like it was like a giant, I'm going to call it bouldering, but it was like a giant like jungle gym. And like, I think we had like so much adrenaline going through us that we were just like climbing, like not really even talking to each other. And like the sun was setting and like, it was so pretty and just kind of like, I don't know, captivated us. But then the sun started going down and we both kind of had this feeling of like, oh, this is like pretty dangerous. We're like pretty high up and it's getting really dark. Like we need to get down. So we got down safely and then went to the van and drove more that night. But it was just such a fun day of just like so much different type of nature. And I don't know, just really cool when it like when nature captivates you in a way that like nothing man-made does, you know?
Mm. I'm like vicariously living through you, because I know that I just like, I couldn't do that. I just like, it sounds.
You could, like, the first week was really hard, or maybe 5 days, like learning to slow down in the van and like physically you have to drive slower, and just like knowing that when you stop and like you're gonna have to like, I don't know, like maneuver around each other, and just like it's a tiny space and you have to cook in here, and just learning all those little tricks. I mean, at first it was literally like, because me and Jared aren't like small people, you know, and like,
yeah,
I remember the first day, literally like broke a 5-gallon glass water jug in the van, like it spilled everywhere. What else happened? We almost like crashed a couple of times just because it was like, you can't stop as fast. What else happened? Jared like bent down and I like clunked him in the head with a huge water bottle. Like just like so many things that we were just like, what are we doing? Like we should not be doing this. But eventually you learn like to slow down, and then you really appreciate it. And interestingly, we both slept so good in the van. Like, I don't know if it was because there was no like electricity and Wi-Fi or what, but like since being back, we're both like, man, we have not slept as good as what we did in the van the whole time.
And I assume it's just on like a blow up mattress type
no,
of deal.
There is a king size mattress in there, like a what's the one all the athletes have?
Yes, something performance
sleep. Yeah, there's it's actually the same bed that we have at home, so it was like sleeping in our bed.
Wow, and it fits in that thing. If it's in the van,
I think they might have cut like a tiny bit off, so it's not like a full king, but it's definitely bigger than a queen.
So, as I was looking at your Instagram post, and you were adding your van life essentials. Look,
yeah,
I'll just get straight to it. Talking about concentrated. Let's talk about the pee bucket.
The pee bucket. Yeah, that was probably worse.
I was like, hold up. I was like, I'm good with all this other stuff, but the pee bucket.
I had to put it on there.
I was like, what the heck is a pee bucket? I mean, Yeah.
It was just ideally you would want like a 5-gallon bucket, and they had like, you can buy them on Amazon, just like, it's literally like a toilet seat that you put on top of the 5-gallon bucket that just like screws on. But we went to Home Depot, and how weird is this? They were completely out of 5-gallon buckets. Like, isn't that weird?
Of course, it's, you know, quote unquote COVID, of course.
Yeah, I don't know. So we got a 2-gallon bucket, so it was lower to the ground. But we only used
so
that in the middle. It was only in the middle of the night because there's no bathroom in there, and it's like sometimes, and like you don't want to get, even if there was a bathroom outside of the van, like you don't want to get out of the van in the middle of the night.
It's bears. Yeah.
You would just be in the bucket, and it was fine.
I just have so many questions about this. I mean, I'm trying not to make this weird, but I also really I just have some questions. So, all right, let's man, all the people listening are like, what is happening? All right, so let's just start here. You get a 2-gallon bucket, not a 5-gallon bucket, which honestly, I kind of like that, just from thinking. I was like, you know, there wouldn't be as much, we'll just say, you know, I don't know, what's the proper word? Excretion? I don't know. Waste? We're just going to use the word waste, because that sounds
it was just raunchy. Urine. There's never anything other than urine in there.
Okay, yeah, that was my second question, was what happened when you had to go number 2?
You go somewhere.
Okay, so you go somewhere. So, because that was my third question, which was, you know, I remember as a kid, I went hunting like maybe once or twice And I was like, nah, just not for me. And one of the things that I did not like about it, and people can say what they want to say, was, man, you had to get up early, do your thing. But then, when you got out there, if something were to arise and, you needed to go to the potty, the earth is your, whatever. So that was kind of my question was, did you have to do it in the, wilderness?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Never got there. I mean, maybe if we would have had, I know Sam and Jen, I think it was during quarantine, they took off and lived in the desert for a little bit in their van. And I would imagine they were going poop somewhere. Yeah. I don't know where, but
yeah. Maybe I'll get them on the podcast and I'll ask those specific questions.
Yeah, I've never asked.
Okay, and then last question regarding this, and we can move on. So you purchased, or at least this is what I heard in my head, but maybe I'm wrong. You purchased a toilet seat to go on top of the bucket.
We didn't, because we didn't have the 5-gallon bucket, so we just sat. I just sat on the bucket.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, alrighty. Enough of that. All right, I was like, man, good for her putting the pee bucket on there. I was like, I'm just.
I felt those are the things it's I knew that pose wouldn't be a good, it wouldn't get a lot of traction on Instagram, but sometimes I just throw things in there that are I like to look back on my Instagram and just memories, right? And so that was something that I was I need to put the pee bucket on here because I want to remember that.
I didn't look in the comment section, but yeah, there are quite a few.
Yeah, there was a girl that commented on it laughing about the pee bucket, but she's someone that has a van, so I think that she was I understand,
Fair enough. I guess the true test of all of this is to ask, and I think I know the answer at this point, would you do it again?
Yeah.
Do the whole van thing again?
Yeah. I definitely would want to have our stops planned out a little bit more. And we did get better at it as we went, but there's definitely a skill to finding these cool spots. And sometimes it would take us way too long and then we would waste time. So just having things planned out more would definitely be beneficial. But
okay.
It's definitely a good get away from our crazy reality and kind of connect with just the slower pace of life a little bit more. I think that would be good for everybody.
So, I mean, obviously you said crazy reality. I mean, you're obviously training a lot, and then do you coach classes as well, at the gym?
Yeah. So Jared and I own a gym. I guess I'll start with myself. I coach anywhere between 3 and 6 classes a week. We don't have a ton of classes at our gym. We changed it after quarantine. We have open gym all day, and then we have a 5:30 a.m., 9 a.m., 5 and 6 p.m. So we only have 4 classes a day, and we have really awesome coaches, and we just kind of switch up the coaches with each class each week. So it's just always changing, but I like that. And then Jared coaches fewer classes than I do, but then he also has a sports performance program that he runs with kids at our gym that he really invests into.
Oh, that's really cool. So it's high school kids or middle school kids that are playing sports or something like that?
Yeah, middle school, high school, and then some college athletes, when they come home from college. Jared runs the strength and power type of stuff, and then we have a running coach that worked at Missouri State for a really long time and who has trained runners through the Olympics, multiple. So he does the running aspect of it, and it's all different sports. It's really cool. Jared doesn't really talk about it that much or advertise it that much, but the athletes that come in are so impressive. And they take them from these girls come in with like skinny legs, and like within a few months, I'm like, oh my gosh, like they have so much more muscle on them, and just watching them develop like their Olympic lifts, and it's really incredible.
God, that,
and
yeah,
like,
that's rewarding.
yeah, seeing like how many collegiate athletes they have produced. Like, obviously the kids are working hard on their sport, but I really think like having that extra edge of like developing strength and speed from people that actually know what they're doing, like they have been able to help so many kids get full ride scholarships.
It's crazy. I just like Googled the gym. So it's CrossFit 417, right?
Yeah, it's actually
yeah,
Team 417 now. We're not affiliated anymore, but it's actually Team 417 now, not CrossFit. But yeah, and I don't even know if our website is working. Was there a website?
No, there was not a website. There was an Instagram page, and that was all I found.
Yeah. Honestly, like we've just been doing word of mouth, and it's been awesome. But
well, here's what's impressive. I started to look, and I was like, "Holy cow!" Like you guys have produced, and talk about producing athletes. Like there's been a plethora of athletes, and not just CrossFit Games athletes, but then what you're telling me, like collegiate athletes that have come out of that gym. So whatever you're doing, it's clearly working because people are really fit in that gym. Like, is it just like a hotbed in Missouri? I mean, it's so, like that's so random.
Yeah, I think honestly it's Jared. Like I think that he attracts people, but then also he just like kind of sets the standard within the gym, like an unspoken standard. Like it's not like he's running around being like, you guys need to work harder. Like, it's just, I don't know. He creates this environment and atmosphere where people want to be better and they want to work hard. And then I just think that his programming, like, he is very, very gifted when it comes to programming. And even our regular class members, like, I'll go to other gyms while we're traveling, and I'm just like, our class members are, like, so good, like just like so intense, and just like want to move correctly, and like want to do things the right way, and like want to improve, and it's just really cool.
Does Jared does Jared program for you or and coach you as well?
So he does all of my strength stuff, just for like, so we don't have a ton of girls at our gym right now, and like this last season, I was just really craving like being able to kind of like compare my scores and stuff to other people. So I do a lot of the Mayhem like conditioning pieces, just to be able to like, I think it's really good programming, but also just to be able to kind of see where I'm at with things. But then I'll do a lot of the class workouts too at the gym because they're awesome. And Jared programs all of those. And then I also do some active life stuff for like accessory work. So just kind of a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay. And that's kind of what I'm picking up on. This is crazy. So, but like you don't have like one person like overlooking like, hey, you're doing, I don't know, this many muscle ups in a week, or like, no, it's just like Jared says, here's your strength programming. And then you're kind of in charge of your conditioning, like just making sure that you're getting what you feel like you need.
Yep.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
And it's clearly working for you because like you're super fit.
Yeah. So for a while I like tried to like, okay, I'm going to stick to everything that this Mayhem programming is telling me to do, like all their accessory work, all their strength stuff. And like, I have been an athlete long enough to know that like it wasn't working for my body. Like my back couldn't handle the amount of strength work that they do. And so like I had to take a step back and be like, okay, I know everyone says stick to the programming and do everything that it says to do, but it's like I need to do what's right for me. And so I've just kind of, I don't know, had to take a step back and like kind of plug different pieces in and figure that out for myself.
Because I mean, you were obviously a very successful team athlete for, I guess, several years, right? and I kind of heard the story of how you came to 417. Anyways, for those listening, really interesting story. You should, I think that was on the Active Life podcast, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember where I heard it, but it's a good story.
Yeah.
When did you decide that you wanted to go individual, or was it that the team opportunity wasn't there anymore? Like, how did that transition happen? Because I never heard that story, part of the story.
Yeah. So, 2017 went team, 2018 went team, 2019 we tried to do team. We did like some sanctionals. That was the year that like the whole format changed. So we just like didn't really even know what was going on. We went to I think 3 sanctionals, so still competed, but missed the games by a little bit. And then 2020, our team, Tyler was kind of doing his own thing. He wanted to go individual. Bailey wasn't sure what she wanted to do. Jared wasn't sure what he wanted to do. And I just felt like that was kind of the time for me to kind of start that individual journey. I really like team. I had been an individual athlete my entire life with gymnastics and track. So when I started as a team athlete, it was really uncomfortable for me to like ask for help. Like that was probably the hardest thing. Like if I was struggling with something, like I had never been in a position where I had to kind of humble myself to be able to be like, hey, you know, for the betterment of the team, like I need to speak up and say like that I need help, you know.
Wow.
So things like that, and just like learning to work with other people. So team was like a really good challenge for me and my character and just like growing as a person. And then I started like really, really loving it. And then I kind of felt like it was like, okay, now bring those things you've learned from team kind of into your individual athlete career. So kind of still keeping that in your head that like, hey, it's not all about yourself. Like there's more to this kind of thing. But that started in 2020 and I did okay in the open that year. And then planned on trying to make it through sanctioned events, but the world shut down. So 2020 was just a wash. And then 2021, I decided, or wait, is that right? Yeah. This past year.
This past year.
I decided like, okay, we're going to really go for this. And almost made it, but not quite.
Yeah. There's a lot of different opinions on that. I mean, you know, like what happens if Tia doesn't compete at that competition, but what if doesn't really solve any problems.
There were so many things, even the other day I had another, like, I think Jared and I watched another one of the events or something, I don't know, from the MAC, and we realized like another situation of like just a very like split second, if it would have been a split second different, like the results would have been completely different. And there were so many situations like that I just have to believe that like that's how it was supposed to be for this year, and we're gonna just learn from it and do better next year, you know?
I mean, I don't know, like what side of the fence did you sit on? And what I mean by that is when you went in this season, were you thinking, oh, like I really think I'm going to make it? I mean, obviously no one thinks they're just going to like lose and get their butt handed to them.
Yeah.
Well, at least I don't think they do. Maybe I'm wrong, but like, was it like, hey, I really do believe like I'm going to be one of those top 5 girls, or was it just kind of like, oh, I'll just kind of see where I am and like I'm going to give it my best shot type of deal, and I don't really know where I'm going to stack up?
Like going into semifinals?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I do anything just like, I'm just going to see where it ends up. Like, that's not.
I love it.
Like I said to Jared the other day, I'm like, maybe I could do what, because, okay, this is a whole nother story, but I really just started training again because I think I had COVID. I never got tested for it, and I had a lot of lingering symptoms, and like that was in July, and I'm just starting to feel like myself again. And so I'm just starting to like kind of ramp up training and like really get into like a schedule with things. So we've been toying around with Wadapalooza, like, do I do it? Do I not do it? And I said to Jared, I'm like, maybe I could just go and like just have fun, And he was like, Christine, you can't do that. Like, I know that sounds good in your head, but like if you can't go in competitively, like you shouldn't do it, because you're not gonna go into the season with a good headspace if you do that. I'm like, yeah, that's true. So same thing with semifinals. Like I went into it like I'm here to. I mean, I know Tia was there, but I'm like I have the attitude of like I'm gonna try to win. Like that's just who I am.
It's like it's so crazy, and just like it's like the tale of two halves, right? I mean, like when we started this conversation, like I'm just like obviously you're an achiever, that's no doubt about it. But then, like as we start to talk, there's this very like compassionate side of you and like loving side of you, and then it's like, no, I want to beat everybody's brains in. I want to win. It's like I can't do it if I don't want to win.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Silent killer.
Yeah. Yep.
Like wait, I'm just I just wonder, like, I mean obviously you mentioned gymnastics, which I know is some savages. I mean, gymnastics may be the toughest, most physically demanding, or one of the most physically demanding sports. I'm always impressed. I mean, like, did that start there, or like have you just been like a competitive kid, like just out of the womb? I'm just like want to beat you.
Yeah, I really think it was just like out of the womb. Like my sister is 4 years older than me, and like I remember as a kid, just anything she could do, I was like, I need to learn how to do that right now. Like I learned to ride a 2-wheel bike without training wheels when I was 2 years old because my sister was doing it. So it was just like, I don't know, that was very competitive. And like in elementary, like the presidential fitness testing and like all of that stuff, like just always had to be the best, like always had to be the best at that. So yeah, I think I just came out of the room that way.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, like it would be like, we'd go eat somewhere and it'd be like, all right, 3, 2, 1, whoever gets to the car first gets to, ride on the, like the end seat. You don't have to sit in the middle. I have a younger brother and sister, so we're all crammed in there like sardines. I feel you. Like I want to win everything. If I'm showing up, giving my time, I want to win. Right. I want to be, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. But then there's plenty of other things that like, I don't, like it's, I don't know, like I'm not competitive in things that I don't care about, but if it's something that I've like signed up for, put training in for, and like I'm going to put my name on it, then it's like, I want to maybe winning it. Like, obviously I want to win, but like, it's more important to me to be able to say like, I gave the best version of myself. Like I don't know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like you represented yourself well, but I think more importantly, you represented the effort and the time that you spent for the last however many months well.
Preparing,
like you have something to show for what you did, not just like, oh, well, I tried really hard and
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I get that. So what's obviously the goal is to qualify this year. Well, I assume the goal is to qualify this year. Are you going to do Wadapalooza?
I don't think I'm going to, but I have one more day to decide.
Yeah. Well, this comes out. Look, this podcast comes out tomorrow, so you can break the news here first, and no one will know till they listen to it tomorrow. So no one's going to hear it today. So it's going to be okay. Okay. So is it fair to say Christine is not doing?
Yeah, it's fair to say that. But maybe I'll change my mind tomorrow.
You bet.
Just kidding. I'm not going to do it.
Look, I expect a DM that says if you're changing your mind so I can update the show notes.
Yeah. I don't know. It's on my birthday too, which I'm like, that it could be really fun or it could be like not really fun. I don't know.
When is Wadapalooza February? Is that right?
January. So my birthday is January 16th. And I'm going to be 30. So I'm like, do I want to spend my 30th? I don't know. I'm like 30th birthday party in Miami. That could be fun. But if I don't know. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it.
Okay. 30 is the new 20.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple quick things that I just saw on your Instagram, and I felt a very strong connection with you. The first one is Jenny's ice cream. I want to talk about this.
Yeah. I love Jenny's ice cream.
So I am a self-proclaimed ice cream connoisseur, and I will fight anyone that thinks differently. I've tried every single Jenny's flavor. We actually have one here in Birmingham, Alabama. We have a little shop downtown Birmingham. I've tried every single one. Every new flavor comes out, I also try.
Wow.
And I mean, I will fight anyone that says I'm wrong, because I firmly believe in my heart, like, I know ice cream. Now, the irony of all of this is I'm highly lactose intolerant. So you can probably imagine what my wife thinks.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I want to, are you familiar enough to talk flavors? Like, we don't have to talk all of them, but just a couple flavors.
Well, so we don't have Jenny's here, so I get it like when I'm on vacation and I see it. So I have not tried like a ton of flavors, and I have to be gluten-free, so there's a lot of flavors I can't have.
Okay. Well, I understand. Look, I'll just say this. There are a lot of flavors that are subpar with Jenny's. And, Jenny's, look, if you're listening to this, I will still accept a sponsorship. Like, even though I'm going to hate on you for about 20 seconds. Their names are better than the flavors, like Texas sheet cake. It sounds amazing. Or gooey cinnamon bun. Sounds like I went to the mall and got it. Like, it sounds great. Not that great in actuality. However, this is what I'll say. The best flavor, I'm again willing to fight anyone that disagrees with me, is Bramble Berry Crisp. I don't think it's gluten-free, so I'm sorry. Bramble Berry Crisp. It is, first of all, I was, because it's highly expensive. It's like $7 for this pint of ice cream. And I was talking to my wife. I was like, oh, we could totally make this. I was like, this is just, dairy and some heavy whipping cream and some berries. And she was like, yeah, look it up, because my wife's also, she's like, yeah, if you like it, I'll make it for you. It's like, thanks, babe. Yeah. So I look it up, and it's a 2-day process to make this thing. Like, you got to let it sit, and you got to do this you have to do this thing in the oven for like the crisps, and then you have to, I was like, okay, babe, no, we'll just pay the $7. Like, this is like 2 days of my time.
Worth the $7.
Yeah. Anyways, folks, Brambleberry Crisp. That's all I'll say. You should get it. It's amazing. Isn't
there an almond brittle one? I think I like that one a lot.
Yes, there is an almond brittle one. And I judge ice cream by its one of the metrics I use is its chunkiness.
Okay.
It's got to have chunks in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now let me ask. Now that I've given this whole thing about Brambleberry Crisp, it's amazing. What flavors have you tried? And so we can talk about them.
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. The almond brittle. I recently tried it was like a sorbet. It was the rosé.
Yes,
one.
I had that.
I actually really liked that.
It's good.
I feel like I've had a caramel one.
Mm-hmm. My wife likes that.
But I don't know. Like, I get Jenny's, like, sometimes it's like multiple within a year, and then sometimes it's years in between. So
it could be seldom. Okay.
Yeah, right. I don't fully remember.
If you have to have gluten free, and these are dairy free as well, there's this brand called, and I do really like them. It's no Jenny's, but I do like them. It's called Nada Moo, Nada.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah, yeah.
It's a good brand.
I think I've had it once. Yeah.
Not a big Halo Top fan. I think it's just like a waste of $5.59 or $6, whatever it is.
Yeah. The sugar alcohol, just.
Yeah, I feel bloated. Can't put my rings
Use
on.
Use real sugar. Wow.
Exactly. Okay, so I'll leave good enough alone. And then the last thing that I noticed was anybody that says, that they like coffee, I have this like relationship with coffee. Like I feel like it's part of my morning routine in which like I grind it and I weigh it and I put it in the little Chemex and I do anyways. I never thought I would like something as much as I like coffee. And I don't even know if I like coffee as much as I like making coffee. Does that make sense?
Like the experience of it.
Yeah, the experience. That's a good word. I like that. So, are you the type of coffee gal that like does a Keurig, or do you like do a French press? Tell me what type of coffee you're into.
No, my parents get so mad because they have a Keurig and they love it, and we will never use it when we're over there. And they're like, "You guys are so weird," and we're just like, "Sorry, we don't want chemicals in the plastic."
Yes, preach it.
But,
so tell me what you do.
Go ahead. We use a French press. So
okay.
Jared usually makes coffee. I actually made it this morning because I got up earlier than him. But just grind the amounts, measure it out, and then you have to boil the water in the percolator, and then put the grounds in the French press, pour your boiling water over it, let it sit for like 4 minutes, and then you push the little plunger down. So that's what we do.
What type of coffee do you guys like?
So we actually have a really good, is it called a roastery here?
It's called a roastery.
Ozark, Missouri, so neighboring to Springfield. It's called Ozark Mountain Coffee, and it's this funny old guy named Larry that owns it and runs it, but his coffee is so good. Like, it is like nothing we've ever had before. So we get the Mexican blend from Larry at Ozark Mountain Coffee.
I'm writing this down. Hopefully he has a website.
Yeah. I wonder if he does.
Or I'll just call up there. It is and pay for him to ship me some. So is it because I'm a nerd? So is it light roast? Is it medium roast? Is it dark roast?
I believe it's medium roast, but it just comes in this like brown paper bag.
Super sketchy. Like he waited out this morning. Like, how much you want? Just pours it.
Literally in that voice. I'm not kidding.
Oh wow. I always say I could stereotype a Midwestern like ish person, but so have you heard it's horrible. Have you heard of Onyx Coffee?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you tried it before?
Are they in Bentonville, Arkansas?
Wow, 10 out of 10 for getting that right.
Junk is down there. So we tried it when we were down there.
Okay.
Or their headquarters are in Bentonville.
Okay, this is no judgment. I'm just asking. Like, did you like it? Did you not like it? What were your thoughts?
I think when I went there, I just got like a latte, so I feel like that kind of masked the true coffee flavor a little bit more. So I can't say for certain, but I did like my latte.
Did you? Okay. So they I think they do a really good job with like more like citrusy type of flavors, like like milder roast. And I don't know if that's your jam, because Mexican coffee doesn't seem very mild to me.
Yeah, I like the richer. I do not like when coffee tastes acidic. Like, I can't stand it. And I feel like the fruitier usually is a little more acidic.
Acidic, yeah. Mm-hmm. Methodical, just while we're on it, Methodical is a good brand of coffee.
I haven't heard of that one.
They're in South Carolina. They do something. They have a brand, or not a brand, but a type of coffee called Blue Boy. It's very good. I've tried other stuff. Yeah, Blue Boy's good. But anyway, so I always like talking coffee because I'm trying to convince my wife that we should buy a $5,000 espresso machine. She's not on board with it, but I'm just, it's just slow. It's just real slow. Just like, hey, babe, this is what we could be having. And anyways, she claimed that I wasn't going to stick with my Chemex for over a week, and 3 years later, I haven't missed a day.
Still doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, but all good. All right, Christine. Thank you for your time. This has been so much fun.
That was fun.
And I think my favorite part is I think we talked about CrossFit for about 5 minutes, and that was it.
I know. Yeah, that's awesome. Refreshing.
Is there exactly? Oh, and by the way, guys, she's a great CrossFitter. You should look her up. Okay, no, real quick. No. I did have one more thing. I looked at my notes. Do you have like 5-10 more minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
okay.
good.
Sorry. Okay, because I just thought about this. I tricked y'all. Y'all thought I was going to get off this thing. I wasn't. All right. I just have some questions. CrossFit. It jogged my memory. The demo team. That's what I wanted.
Team.
That's what I wanted to talk about. And like that was like my big thing. You know, Dave Castro. He's very interesting guy. People want to know about him, and I'm sure you have NDAs, and that's exciting. And anyways, tell me about that experience. That sounds awesome. And when I say awesome, painful is what I mean.
It was awesome and painful for sure. So after I officially didn't make it through the last chance qualifier, I think it was the next day I got an email asking if I could come out to the ranch to test games workouts. And it was funny because like the night after the last chance qualifier, I just kind of had this like I can like relax now, you know, like I'm gonna like take it easy for a little bit. Like I knew my immune system was like, I could just feel that I was kind of on the brink of just, my body had been going really hard for a long time and just needed to chill. So I'm like, you know what, this is going to be good for me. And then the next day I got that email asking if I wanted to go test workouts. And I was like, I can't say no. Like, I can't. Like, this would be such a cool experience. So flew out to California, I think 2 days later. And that was my first, like, I had met Dave before, but that was my first time, like, personally meeting Dave, I guess, and first time being to the ranch and being able to meet other CrossFit HQ staff. And that was a really cool experience, testing the workouts, because it was just like, it was so, I mean, I don't know the word for it, but like, this is what would happen. Like, one person would be doing the workout and there's no music on. Like, everyone's just circled around you and the clock starts, and either Dave or someone else has like a pad of paper and they're like taking notes on what you're doing, and then they have someone else kind of counting your reps. But it's just like, you're the only one going, and it's just quiet and you can hear yourself breathing, and you're just like, I hope I'm doing good enough. Like, I don't know. So that was like very intimidating, but also very fun. And just like being able to see other people do the same workouts as you, and then knowing that you tested those workouts when I was able to be on the demo team, or even if I wasn't able to be on the demo team, like just like knowing what some of the workouts were before the athlete knew was really cool. And then like it made watching the games so fun, because you knew what these workouts were going to feel like, and they had no idea because they had never done them before. And just kind of knowing like what all the different people that tested it got, and just like seeing on some of the workouts where some of these games athletes are just so incredible and like push the scores so much further than what any of us did, you know, at the barn or in Madison. We tested some too, but so that was really cool. But the demo team itself was so awesome. Like I made an Instagram post about this, but at the end of it, it felt like, I don't know if you went to summer camp as a kid, but like
I have,
when you go to summer camp and it's just like so many stimulating activities, but you're having so much fun that like you forget how tired you are, and you're just like, yeah, let's go. Mm-hmm. And then it gets done and you're like so thankful and so like, that was so awesome, but you're just so exhausted. Like, I don't know if I've ever been more tired. Like, it was crazy. It was like doing the game sleep deprived. Like, I mean, I didn't do all of the CrossFit Games, but we did quite a few of them, a bunch of individual workouts and a bunch of team workouts on site in Madison. And it was like, I mean, we were waking up early, like 6, sometimes 5:30, like very early in the morning. And then sometimes we would wait until almost everybody left the stadium it's the event center at night, and then would have to test workouts at night sometimes too, because they're just like fine tuning all these details. But our team that we had was so great. It was me, China Cho, Allison Scud, Con Porter, Tola, Maracanio, and James Newberry, and just everyone had such a good attitude, and everyone got along so well. I think it was just like a really good mix of different personalities. And everyone just like, I don't remember anyone complaining ever, which just made it so good. You know, like if Dave needed something, everyone just would like, oh, I'll do it. And it was just really cool. But then like seeing Dave at the games too was really awesome as well. Just like Dave and just the whole staff. Like I've always had an appreciation for like the volunteers and stuff, but being behind the scenes and seeing like how long the days are, and that like the games doesn't start when the game starts. Like we got there, I don't remember how early we got there, but days before the game started, or maybe even close to a week before it started. I don't remember, but there's so much preparation that goes into it, and it is early mornings and very late nights. And the same with the people that are volunteering, nobody complains. Like everyone is so tired and, you know, hungry for their next meal, and they do a good job feeding everybody, but it's just like, you never know when you're going to have time to eat. So just things like that, but it's like nobody's complaining. And then at the end we played, Dave initiated this, like I guess every year they play knockout in basketball. It's like this huge game with like eliminations and like all these different rounds. So that was really fun. And yeah, it was a really cool experience. I'm so thankful for it.
Did you win knockout? Who won knockout?
I did not win knockout. Dave did not win either. I don't remember who won. I jammed my finger though when we were playing. Like, you know, when the basketball hits your finger and it hurts it still hurts. Like my finger still hurts from playing knockout after the game. I'm like, will it ever not hurt? I don't know. So.
Oh man. So you mentioned about having to test these workouts like over and over and over, and you're trying to fine tune them just right. So what and maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but what happened with the GHD burpee over the hay and then yoke walk with the remaining time workout? Because, you know, obviously, you know, there were a lot of people like, you know, the athletes broke the programming and this, that, a third. It wasn't supposed to be able to be completed within a lot. I mean, there's a couple that were close within one round and then a lot within 2 rounds. Like what happened in that workout? I mean, the athletes really did, like, they broke the programming. Like, well,
no,
was it
we
supposed
knew it
to
was
be
going to
that
happen. We knew it was going to happen exactly the way that it did. Like that specific workout was tested, I don't even know how many times. And like, we would change the number of reps of the burpees that people did, or just like, because he didn't want anyone to finish on the first round. And I don't think anyone did.
No one did.
And then
there's a couple on the second.
We knew that there would be some people that would finish in the second, and then quite a few in the third, and then there would be kind of like I don't want to call them stragglers, but the people that, you know, would have to fight that fourth round. And I think he added a minute to the fourth round so that, you know, maybe the yoke was too heavy for some people to where like they're having to put it down a lot. So that fourth round, he gave that extra minute for people to kind of like fight between the people that maybe were struggling on the yoke. But yeah, a lot of people were saying like broke the programming, all this stuff, but we had tested it so many times, like we knew that was the way that it was going to happen. But it was like, we're watching the first round, there were a couple that got close to getting it in one round, and we're like, oh no. So if that would have happened, maybe you could say like broke the programming, but that was the plan. What happened? Okay.
Well, there we go. That was my burning question had been answered. But I'm always curious and I know a lot of people are curious because, you know, the ranch is this like mysterious thing, right? And I don't know what your perception of the ranch was, and maybe you can speak to that. But my perception is this, like, that it's such this mysterious thing. And, you've got Dave kind of behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz, so to speak, and, just puppeteering these things. And then you wonder, like, man, I wonder how many times that these workouts, sounds like a lot, get tested, not just tested, but then changed, and the iteration of them from, workout one to then what you see at the games. Like how different is that? Because I'm sure you got to see that firsthand.
Yeah. When I got there, things were pretty dialed in, but like Allison Scud, who was our captain, she went out to the ranch right after the West Coast Classic. So she had been there for a really long time. And she had like mentioned that a bunch of the workouts that were pretty much fine-tuned by the time I got there, like she shared like different versions that she had done. And some of them, like, different rep schemes, different like weights on the sandbag, or like a totally different movement altogether. The workout with, I think it was 21:59 with the bike and the Echo bike and the snatches. That one was like we called it like our initiation workout. Like everybody had to do it because it was just a nasty burner. And she said, like, on that one specifically, she did that one probably close to 10 times. Like she did that workout so many times, and with different weights on the bar, because they were just trying to create the right stimulus and maybe different reps too sometimes. But like she did one, she said, where she was like pretty happy with her score. And then she said that Dave told her, like, okay, I want you to do it again, but just like don't pace the first bike at all. Like I want you to go all out and just see what happens. And she was like, I know what's going to happen. Like it's not going to be good. And he's like, just do it anyway. So she did it. And I think it was that one she wound up puking afterwards, because it was just like, just crazy. But I think they just like, they want to see the right stimulus, but then they also want to see like what would happen to an athlete if they push that first bike too hard, so you're just kind of at their disposal. But, and I think it is a little bit entertainment to Dave for sure. But I don't know. It's definitely like everyone in that situation too, like just has a good attitude, and it's like very understanding that you're there to test the workout. So like, it was intimidating though, like for sure.
That just sounds like, I mean, it sounds exciting. Like, oh man, like they picked me, but then you're like,
you realize what it is, and you're like, oh. Or like you would leave the ranch and Dave would be like, okay, but I might call you to come back tonight or something. So like you go back to your hotel and you're like, do I have to be ready to do something again? Or like, can I just chill?
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, can I eat or should I not eat because we're doing assault bike sprints and power snatches?
Right. Yeah. And that was the other thing too. Like, they're like, okay, warm up, get ready for this workout that you're going to test. And you start warming up, and then like it's like time to go. Like, okay, you ready? And you're like, oh, it's been
3 minutes.
But yeah, that's fine. Here we go.
Send it. Yeah, I mean, it really does. It just sounds like some really sick like experiment, like on humans. Just like, hey, come and try this, and we're just gonna put you through all of this, and and then you see these videos that come out. And of course, I'm sure the film crew is specifically told to get the people puking and hands on the knees and like, I'm dying, and, rolling on the ground, because there were plenty of that. And it just seems like, man, who would sign up for this? But from what you're saying, it was a great experience. So I don't know if they make you say that in your NDA, but that just sounds awful.
Yeah. Oh man. It was funny. Like Chandler Smith was part of the demo team when it was at the ranch, when like the games was at the ranch. And when he was talking to us, the demo team at the games, he was like, what I don't think I would ever do again, what you guys are doing. And I was like, yeah.
Oh, It just gives me shivers.
Because it's kind of, I don't know. There's like two ways to look at it. Like part of it is like, okay, you're doing all the workouts basically, but for like, you could be like, for what, you know? But then the other part of it is like, you have all of this kind of like background information on just like seeing how things are put together and just like, I don't know. I think it was beneficial to just be able to be on the other side of things and just moving forward, you know, like just being able to like kind of have insider information on things that some athletes never will, you know.
And then you're still testing these workouts at the games. Like while you're physically there, you're still like running through last second changes. Yes.
And just to see like how a workout flows on the field versus at the ranch, you know, so just for like aesthetics too, like to make sure everything flows well.
I think that's what I'm always like impressed with, is that the games is as much of a physical test as it is entertainment for the people watching.
Right. Yeah. They want it to be very visually pleasing.
Yeah. Like I really equate it to the Hunger Games. Like it's the pomp and circumstance and then the savageness of like, you know, metaphorically killing these people's souls.
Right.
So
yeah.
Anyways. So, all right. Well, and then obviously you can answer this however you want to answer it, but there's always talks about like, you know, the NDAs and the things that you can't say, which I find interesting. And obviously I understand you don't want any leaks. You don't want any workouts getting out. But like after it's over, like it's all kosher, or is like there's still trade secrets?
That's a good question. I think it's more just like not sharing what the workouts are.
I was just curious if they like,
because like everything that I just shared with you, they talked about in those Road to the Games episodes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I was just wondering.
I feel like that. Did you watch that episode with the like the creation of the games or whatever, where they had the people testing at the ranch?
Yes. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like,
yeah.
I feel like that was a pretty good like
representation,
insight into what is going on at the ranch. Like they had interviews with people. Like, yeah, it's not like they're like trying to be like, oh, we're not going to share anything that happens at the ranch. I think they're just like, don't share any of the workouts.
What was the last question? What was the worst one you tested? Like you personally?
Oh man. Well, for like my pride, it was the pegboard one, because I want to do it again, because I had never done pegboards on a plexiglass before, and there's like an entirely different way to do it, and I didn't know that before I did the workout. So for like my pride, I like just did not. My score was so bad on that one, and I was just kind of embarrassed about it. But just like, I don't know, like even that was beneficial, because it was like, then Allison took me after I did it and like showed me like how she does them, and like now I do them that way, because it's like, oh, it's always going to be a plexiglass at the games. So that was probably, I think I'm sure that for me personally, I didn't have to test this one, but the mile and a half, or the 30 toes bar, mile and a half run, 30 toes bar, mile and a half run, 30 toes bar. If I would have had to test that one, I think that would have been the worst one for me, because I need to get better at running. That would have hurt the most for me, I think.
Oh man. Ooh.
Yeah. But the muscle up one with the pig, do you remember that one?
I do.
So
that was gnarly.
Both times, like, I got off the plane in California and like drove to the ranch, and like immediately upon getting to the ranch had to do that workout. Like hadn't eaten or drinking water really all day, and like had to do that workout. So that was like pretty rough. And then immediately when I got to the game site, when I got there, Dave was like, hey, we're going to have you test that one again. I was just like, man, every time I like, get to the venue after this workout. It wasn't as bad the second time though, because I knew kind of how it was going to feel. But yeah.
Gross. Anyways, well, you're the best. I appreciate it. Let people know, where can people, you mentioned your junk bands are coming out. Do you have a date on that, or where can people go and support you?
I don't have a date yet. I'm really hoping that it's before Christmas, but I will be posting about it on my social media account, my Instagram at Christine.Cole. And there is like I have other designs through Junk Brands. And if you go to Junk's website and type in Christine Cole, all of my designs will come up.
Beautiful. All right, Christine, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And look forward to talking with you soon.